The Dallas Cowboys are absolutely spiraling out of control. You got Micah Parsons making out-of-pocket comments after the game against Philadelphia about Mike McCarthy, a Super Bowl winning head coach, by the way. Michael Parsons said that, some of the guys on the team, like Zach Martin, put in way more time for these games than what Mike McCarthy does. And it just was really weird for Michael Parsons to say that, with that being the first game that he has played in the last couple of weeks due to injury. And I'm not going to say that Michael Parsons is overrated. A lot of you Cowboy fans know that Michael Parsons is one of the best edge rushers in the NFL, but he doesn't necessarily show up in the biggest games or the biggest moments. But against Philadelphia, he had a really good game, in my opinion. But what he said after that loss was really uncalled for. One thing that you should never do, regardless of how bad things are turning out for you during the season, is throw guys under the bus. Rather it be teammates, coaches, there has to be a mutual level of respect. And I'm not even mad at Michael Parsons for making these comments, because how can you get mad at Michael Parsons for talking when you got an owner that never shuts the hell up? Jerry Jones is always talking, and every time Jerry Jones talks, he makes the Dallas Cowboys situation look 1,000 times worse. This dude is just delusional. They asked him about, the glare from how the stadium is designed that caused CeeDee Lamb to miss a wide open touchdown grab. And he says, man, we designed the stadium to be advantageous to us, and we don't plan on making any changes. Okay, so you're just going to continue to let the sun beam in some of your wide receivers' faces and cost them, some drops? Come on now, Jerry. You should be doing whatever it takes to best help this team. If you got to put some curtains to keep the sun from glaring in your wide receivers' eyes, go ahead and do that, because at this point, it seems like Jerry Jones doesn't even care about winning anymore. How can he? When you're making trades for Jonathan Mingo, you don't care about the sun being in your wide receiver's eyes. It's a pretty clear indicator that Jerry Jones either wants to tank or he's just flat out delusional. And I think that both things can be true in this situation. Everybody is mad at Michael Parsons, criticizing him for his comments about Mike McCarthy, but Jerry Jones is the one who has set this precedent in the locker room. He's the one that isn't holding anybody accountable, because he doesn't even hold himself accountable. So why are we surprised that Michael Parsons is making these kinds of out-of-pocket comments about his head coach when Jerry Jones does nothing but make out-of-pocket statements and a bunch of lies? This was the same person who at the start of this year said that the Cowboys were going all in, and the only moves they made that quote-unquote were all in were re-signing CeeDee Lamb, paying Dak Prescott, who now is out for the season, and bringing back Ezekiel Elliott. That was it. So if you should be mad at anybody, don't be mad at Michael Parsons. He's just doing what Jerry Jones has allowed to take place in this locker room. Jerry Jones doesn't even have enough respect for Mike McCarthy to say, things aren't going our way, but Mike McCarthy, we're going to stick with him. I still believe in him. You don't never hear a vote of confidence out of Jerry Jones when it comes to Mike. All he gives you is vague answers about Mike McCarthy. We don't plan on making any coaching changes. If you really believe in Mike McCarthy, even if you are going to let him go, at least somewhat pretend like you do. We know Jerry Jones doesn't believe in this dude. Jerry Jones is doing whatever he wants to because this is his team, and he can do as he pleases, but he's torturing this fan base. And Cowboy fans, it's not even fun to make fun of them anymore. Normally, I enjoy picking at Cowboy fans because they're always delusional. They always think they can win it all every single season, even though we know that that's not going to happen. But this year, though, it just isn't no point going at Cowboy fans, because you're basically kicking somebody when they're already down and they can't use their legs to get back up because they're broken. They know how bad this season was going to turn out. Yeah, did they have a little bit of optimism Yeah, of course, but that's every fan base. Even Raiders fans thought they could win 10 games. So you can't get mad at Cowboy fans for having a little bit of optimism for this season. This fan base understood what was going to happen this year. This was not a well-constructed team. The reason why the Cowboys have one of the worst records in the NFL at this moment is because Jerry Jones did a poor job of building a team that was equipped to win it all, which is why his all-in comments are now so infamous, because this team was the complete opposite of what it looks to be all in. If anything, they were all out on trying to win a Super Bowl. When you extend Dak Prescott, who has scammed this franchise out of millions of dollars for the last couple of years, Dak Prescott is one of the highest paid players in the NFL, who always looks good in the regular season, but then once we get to the biggest part of the year, the playoffs, when legends are made and you only need 4 games of good football out of this dude to hoist that Lombardi trophy, he always comes up small. And this is the worst season that Dak Prescott has had up to this point in his career. And you know, with him being out for the season, he's been trying to get second opinions, but he's going through the surgery anyway. You might as well just sit the rest of the season out, because you weren't really making the Cowboys a better team anyway with how bad you were playing. I've never seen Dak Prescott look this bad, this inaccurate. The Cowboys just need to burn this thing down. They need to reset. And they need to find a way to get a restraining order against Jerry Jones, because the way that he runs this team, it just seems like he just doesn't care. He just wants all the control. He wants to be the coach. He wants to be the GM. He wants to be the owner. He wants to be the face of the franchise. Jerry Jones just wants it all. He wants his hands in the cookie jar. He wants his cake, and he wants to eat it too. And you got to be delusional if you think that Bill Belichick or any top head coaching candidate is going to want to put up with his nonsense. It's no wonder guys like Micah Parsons can say whatever they want, throw their head coach under the bus, and face no consequences, because look what Jerry Jones does. He's the only owner in the league that always has press conferences after the game. He has a weekly radio show. Do you know any other owner that talks as much to the press as what Jerry Jones is? Probably not, because most of the times you never hear from the owner like that. You know when a guy is a bad owner, but at the same time, a lot of bad owners, as crazy as they may be, they're not always talking nonstop like how Jerry Jones is. So if you want Micah Parsons to shut his mouth, tell Jerry Jones to shut some of his mouth. You feel me? I get you're the owner and you got the right to speak, but do you really need to be talking every day, every week about your team? You're the GM, the owner. Get somebody else to be the GM. How about you do less of the talking and you hire somebody else to do a little bit more of the talking for you, who can also make better informed decisions? Did we see Jonathan Mingo play last week against Philadelphia? Because I only watched the first 2 quarters and a half until I flipped to another game, and I didn't hear Jonathan Mingo's name called once. You know, they did give up a good amount to get him, and yet we didn't hear his name once during the first half against Philadelphia. And the Dallas Cowboys have a big need for a talent at wide receiver. And you get Jonathan Mingo, you're going to overpay for him and not play him that much? This just shows how far gone and how delusional Jerry Jones is, because he can't understand that the reason why the Cowboys are in this position is because of him. He has constructed a poor roster that doesn't have depth, doesn't have that much talent on offense. And what do you expect Mike McCarthy to do with this? You basically gave Mike McCarthy shit, and you're saying, hey, Big Mike, this is your contract year. We're going to give you a crappy roster. Find a way to turn it into gold. Jerry Jones, with the precedent that he has set in his locker room, it's no wonder the Cowboys are such a big car wreck right now. There's no accountability because he doesn't have accountability. He refuses to accept the blame for how bad things have transpired for the Cowboys this season. And at this point, listen, I don't wish any harm on anybody, But the Cowboys are going to continue to be this way until Jerry Jones can no longer run this team. He has to turn into Joe Biden before somebody steps in and says, hey, Jerry, like, you feel me? You gotta go, bro. You just don't have it mentally anymore to be running this team. He's like 80-something years old. Anybody else this age will barely be talking that much. He has to be one of the oldest owners in the league that talks the most. Most of the times, you never hear anything out of the owner. Regardless of how bad things are going, the owner may only talk maybe 2-3 times during the season. That's about it. But we hear from Jerry Jones every doggone day. So if you're going to get mad at Micah Parsons for speaking his mind, get mad at Jerry Jones for allowing this to take place. I haven't heard Jerry Jones say anything about Micah Parsons' comments about Mike McCarthy. If anything, he might have told Micah, hey, like, you feel me? Go ahead and get this off your chest, because I feel the same way. Basically, what Micah Parsons said is, you're a crappy coach and I don't respect you. And that's pretty much what Jerry Jones has been doing to Mike McCarthy. I feel bad for how Mike McCarthy has been treated in this situation, believe it or not. Am I wrong for feeling that way? You're telling this guy to work with nothing. You're giving him Trey Lance and Cooper Rush as his backup. The season is over for Dallas. At this point, just go ahead and tank for Ashton Genty. At least you can get a good consolation prize out of this torture that Jerry Jones has put in this fan base through. And y'all are a really passionate fan base. That's why I love coming at y'all. But it's no fun coming at the Cowboys fandom anymore, because everybody just knows what it is. And, you know, to be honest, Cowboy fans are probably ready for this season to be over with so they can just, you know, have some reason to be optimistic for next year, because it's a new season, it's a clean slate, and maybe Jerry Jones will get somebody in to make some new decisions, build a better team, but who knows? But at this point, the season for Dallas is over. This is a car wreck, man.